So we've been through the weakest to strongest Link and Zelda, but now we finally get to the main villain of the story, Ganondorf. Now, unlike Link and Zelda, the Ganondorf in each game is usually the same person, with a few exceptions. Now, like with Link and Zelda, there will be some rules to this ranking list. First off, all Ganons and feats will be from canon material only, so no side games or Smash Brothers. Secondly, the criteria that I will be looking at when ranking each one will be 1. Strength, which is very important for Ganondorf, who is the wielder of the Triforce of Power, which brings me into the next criteria, their army and how much of a threat that particular Ganondorf was. Both very important aspects, as well as the Ganondorf's magic use, having to have been known as a very formidable dark magic user. Intelligence is also a very important aspect when talking about Ganondorf. And then if any Ganondorf may have something in particular that separates them from the others, that will also be factored in. And so with that, we begin the weakest to strongest Ganondorf. Now, as per the voting on a poll, Puppet, Calamity, and Phantom will all be included on this list, with the weakest of them being Puppet Ganon. Now, Puppet Ganon has a large size and 3 different forms, but beyond that, there's really nothing else he has going for him. He is a version of Ganondorf's power being puppeted by the evil king himself, and you meet with him just before facing Ganondorf in Wind Waker. Takes on the form of a pig that emulates Ganon, a spider, and a snake, all with a very easily exploitable weakness. It's a question on whether or not both appearances of Ganon in this game were echoes from Null, but I still feel that he deserved a mention. Having to not be the main antagonist, we only see him show up as the boss in the beginning and then later on in the game against Zelda. His magic mostly consists of energy balls and teleporting. Beyond just being a common boss, he's not really a world-crushing threat here. So this is another Ganon that doesn't appear for very long, having to be the final boss in Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages. When Link ruins Twinrova's plans to use Zelda and the Oracles for the resurrection of Ganon, Twinrova sacrifices themselves, resulting in a botched resurrection. The outcome bringing us a mindless version of Ganon. This Ganon is still physically powerful, even without the Triforce. And he did also have some magic skill like teleportation, levitation, fireballs, and even reversing the controls on Link. All of this could have been utilized more if he had his usual intelligence. If we were basing this just on Phantom Ganon's appearance in Ocarina of Time and Wind Waker, he'd be lower on the list. Like Puppet Ganon, Phantom Ganon is also a piece off of Ganondorf's power. In Ocarina of Time, you face him in the Forest Temple, where he can shoot energy blasts and create illusions in paintings. When you meet with him in Wind Waker, he gains the ability to create copies of himself to surround you. It's his Tears of the Kingdom version, however, that places him at the beginning of the top 10. He's able to create more elaborate illusions, such as making you chase after Zelda throughout the castle while summoning up monsters. Like in Wind Waker, he's able to make copies of himself, but instead of disappearing when you hit the real one, you have to defeat every one of them. And he's very skilled with the sword and the bow and arrow, being able to create gloom to destroy your hearts. Going back to the Ganon of the classic NES, but this is where it happens near the end of the Downfall timeline, and Hyrule has been overrun by Ganon's forces. This Ganon is physically strong, and he has the Triforce of Power only adding to that, and he's attempting to get Wisdom, which was split into 8 pieces by Zelda. While not as cunning as others, he did manage to turn Hyrule into an apocalyptic land, and he is very adept with magic, capable of energy balls, teleportation, and invisibility. However, is weak to the silver arrows. This colossal beast is one of the few exceptions to being the same Ganon, as it is a reincarnation. Even without the Triforce of Power, the strength of this Ganon is still terrifying. Not to mention his magic, being able to cast spells, use invisibility and teleportation, even being able to freeze time in parts of Hyrule. And his plan was simple yet cunning, being able to seal away Zelda and the maidens. He was also able to release Vati, the Wind Mage, and create Shadow Links using the Dark Mirror. With all of this, Ganon was able to plunge all of Hyrule into his own darkness. Ganondorf's Wind Waker appearance was unique for sure, in the fact that we see perhaps a bit more of a vulnerable version than the others. Happening in the adult timeline after being sealed away, years later Ganondorf returns, wanting to resume his conquest. However, we get a completely different man from what we see in Ocarina of Time. He admits to the care he has for his people, the Gerudo, and his reasonings behind wanting to take over Hyrule. That doesn't make him any less of a threat, though. After breaking out of the seal, he begins to lay waste to Hyrule, to where the gods had to intervene and flood all of the land. He's tough enough to survive an attack from Valoo, and he's an agile and competent sword fighter. He manipulates events while searching for Zelda, once again getting another link to pull the Master Sword. As stated earlier, this Ganondorf has control over Puppet and Phantom Ganon, as well as the Halmarat King. This is quite possibly also the only time we see Ganondorf not use a second form. Next, we have the fusion resulting in Ganon. This adventure takes place in Lorule, where the main villain is actually Yuga, who uses a mindless version of Ganon, and after fusing, what happens is a monstrosity with the strength of Ganon and the mind of Yuga. He was cunning enough to trick Hilda into thinking that she was the one in control. Much like Link, he's also able to merge into the walls, and even create his own armies out of paintings. What also truly makes this one unique is having the power of both the Triforce of Wisdom and Power. Other magical abilities include levitation, teleportation, and energy balls. Other than Ganon's strength though, most of these abilities do come from Yuga. We have now made it into the top 5, and this Ganon is a mystery in of himself. No one really knows where this one came from, just that he's an entity of pure might and malice, with a blood moon that will constantly resurrect his fallen armies. During the Great Calamity, Ganon had corrupted the Divine Beast and the Guardians that were originally built to destroy him, and then created Blights that were able to take down the 4 champions. Even came close to killing both Link and Zelda, and then turned Hyrule into a wasteland. In his first form, Calamity Ganon is already massive, with enough strength to withstand the power of all 4 divine beasts, and he's got a lot in his arsenal, with multiple arms and varying weapons, being able to summon up ice and tornadoes. He's also able to shoot fire as well as lasers. He's able to walk on walls, throwing blades, spears, and even using giant scissors against you. And if all of that wasn't enough, he also has a near invincible form. And like many others, he also has another transformation into his Dark Beast mode, which is by far the largest that we've seen, quite possibly scaling to at least a small mountain. He's slow and has exploitable weak points, but his dark energy blasts are fierce, and also can't be killed by the Master Sword and light arrows alone. The introduction to Ganondorf, the Gerudo King, not only chronologically in the timeline, but in the game's releases as well. Not only the direct reincarnation of Demise's hatred, but probably the most iconic Ganondorf. He manipulates many of the events within the game after cursing and killing the Great Deku Tree, stemming from his deceit to the Hyrule King. And this is the same Ganondorf who in one timeline actually manages to kill Link as his plans go without any issues. And this Ganondorf certainly is no joke. He tricks Link into pulling the Master Sword and opening the Door of Time, takes over Hyrule Castle, putting his own in its place, lures Zelda out of hiding and kidnaps her magically without even being there, and gets Link to come to his castle so that he can gather up all 3 Triforce. Having to have been raised by the twin Rover sisters, he's very proficient in magic, being able to do things like create beings like Phantom Ganon and energy balls. He's also strong enough to punch and collapse the ground beneath him. He's even been able to use his dark magic to lay curses all across Hyrule. Even defeated, he's still able to use his strength to destroy the room that Link and him were in, after which began collapsing the tower while unconscious, of which he had survived with the tower coming down on him. Afterwards, showing his colossal Ganon form, strong enough to break through boulders with ease, with very few weak points. Now if you haven't yet, you should watch my video about Is There an Old Hyrule? Because in it, I explain how I believe this is also a Ganondorf reincarnation. Much like on Ocarina of Time, this Ganondorf also tries to deceive the King of Hyrule into trusting him. Unluckily for him, Rauru wasn't quite as convinced. That, however, does not stop him from being a threat or defeating the sages before his imprisonment. He also killed Queen Sonia, leading to his infamous laugh, and then took her Sage Stone, and then used that to create the Blood Moon and his monster forces. 10,000 years later, after Rauru had defeated him, even in a decrepit state, he still managed to cause the upheaval, as well as taking Link's right arm and his clothes. Ganondorf is also very adept in sword play, and can also affect Link with gloom. Much like Phantom Ganon, he's also able to create copies of himself, and even send out dark energy waves. And instead of having a boar form, this Ganondorf actually swallows his Sage Stone in order to become a dragon. And while that may not have been the hardest part of the fight, it still does give him draconian abilities, including a somewhat level of immortality. Now, this Ganondorf definitely was a beast, figuratively and literally. This was the one in the child timeline, in which Link goes back in time to warn Zelda of what was about to happen. When confronted, a war breaks out, and once Ganondorf is finally captured, he was to be executed. But things didn't go quite as planned. Stabbed through the chest, breaking free, and killing a sage, he was then sealed in the Twilight Realm, where he had met Zant, giving him some of his power, and using him to carry out his plans, giving Ganondorf access to the Twilight Army. And this Ganondorf uses those abilities to his full extent, being able to do things like possess Zelda and use her as his little puppet, allowing him to use her to attack with energy balls, and in his boar form is capable of smashing through rock pillars and traveling interdimensionally. And remember when Midna used only a fraction of the Fused Shadow's powers to kill off Zant? Well, Ganondorf went toe-to-toe with that full power and won. Not only that, managed to survive the explosion at the castle, defeating and killing off Midna before attacking with his own clones. This Ganondorf is monstrous, and he had manipulated the whole situation throughout the entire game. Twilight Princess definitely brought a certain type of atmosphere, and you could definitely feel the darkness brought on by the villain. Ganondorf certainly proved to be formidable on this one, even going so far as to die on his feet. And finally, we have our number 1 spot, Ganon from A Link to the Past. First off, this one is very cunning, using the guise of Aghanim to stop plagues that he sent from the Dark World that no other sorcerers could stop, just to get Hyrule and the royal family to trust him. He even manages to transport the 6 sages, Zelda, and the Sacred Realm into the Dark World. He even does what no other Ganon has ever done before, and gets the full Triforce, just adding to his colossal power. Just to even damage him, you need your Master Sword and Silver Arrows upgraded twice. As a bat, he was able to smash through the Dark World Pyramid and can take a good chunk of your health when he hits you. He can shroud the stage in darkness, summon up flaming bats and energy balls, was even capable of corrupting the Great Fairy. He even levitates and causes the floor to start crumbling beneath you. With all that he's capable of doing, has done, and the power that he wields, I place this as the #1 most strongest Ganon. But what do you think? You can let me know in the comments below. Also, please be sure to like and subscribe, and check out some of my other content, as well as hit the bell to be notified. And if you haven't seen my last update video, this is going to be the last big video for the year. I will be going on holiday hiatus. I will only be doing my smaller videos, so just keep watching my posts and update videos for more information. And until next time, keep gaming and have happy holidays.